The French economic model sells you security, unlimited contracts, universal healthcare, state-guaranteed pensions. But this security has a cost, and that cost is your marginality. If you settle for an over 45% income tax, 30% flat tax on investments, and very low marginality on side gigs, potentially high debt on your accounts, you are destined for failure. Instead, you have to move through the allowances, tax shelters, and key decision points that allow you to accumulate wealth in France. Hello fellow wealth seekers, and welcome back to another installment of the wealth levels in Europe. Today with a focus on France. We start with financial survival. Stage 1 is a net worth barely level ground zero and potentially living paycheck to paycheck. Two important things you have to be very careful of because they are frequently traps for the middle class. Median income, even with an unlimited contract, is likely stagnating you in a position where you haven't renegotiated your value, your salary, and potentially you're living in a city that is not optimized for your margin. So definitely assessing your geographical arbitrage and considering a change in jobs are the two priorities here. Next to the usual, kill high interest debt and make sure that you don't overspend on lifestyle. Level 2, financial stability. Here you've established margin, you've assessed your geographic location. What can you do next? Well, building your emergency fund needs to be separate from your checkings account, which basically bleeds every year as it has no shield from inflation. There's two tax advantaged accounts you should open, Livret A and the LDDS, which I'm sorry, I'm not gonna try to pronounce to avoid butchering it. The first one has a taxes exemption of almost 23,000. The second one, a solidarity account of almost 12,000. Yes, the interest rate is highly regulated, so it will not shoot up to 5% a year, but it is protected and shielded from any tax. This has to be maximized first. Level 3 is agility. In here, you cannot fall for the usual primary choices such as a home. You need to be smarter due to the heavy tax system. The PEA is your best option. Up to 150k are shielded from income tax. You only pay the 17% social security tax on it, which basically means you can invest synthetic ETFs through this account, shielding it from the primary 30% flat tax. In here, as usual, we recommend MSCI World or FTSE All World that allow you a diversified global indexed portfolio. Level 4 is autonomy. In here, if you really want to get into real estate and not wanting to deplete 30% flat tax on a general ETF brokerage account, you can use a couple of tax wrappers once again. The first one, the location meublée non professionnelle, which basically means you are renting already furnished apartments that you can depreciate against the rental income each year, meaning the taxes on owning that property, which would be extremely high, are virtually diminished, sometimes all the way up to zero for many years throughout the duration of your rental contract. Secondly, you can use the assurance vie, which basically means you're giving the chance of investing into separate accounts, funds, and ETFs that are at least exempt from the inheritance tax, which is also very brutal. Up to 153k can be directly passed down to your own, next generations without any sort of tax on it. And since at this stage, this 150k sound a bit modest, the trick is ultimately opening more than one of these assurance vie, basically one for real estate, one for property funds, one for state funds, global ETFs. You can have up to 4 or 5, and all of them will at least have a full shield of inheritance tax for this 153k we discussed. The telemetry is absolute and this time even a bit stricter than usual. In here, you will be taxed on 30 to 45% levels if you don't clear all these steps that offer you tax wrappers and shield. Don't complain about Social Security, don't get fixated on one unlimited contract, instead become flexible, become an optimized operator of this system and make sure that you get ahead of the curve. I hope this was helpful. Let me know which country we should audit next. Leave a like and subscribe, that tremendously help the channel. Appreciate it. See you in the next session. European Wealth Lab out.